you have to study the economy objectively, where it did right. Yes, good afternoon, Vijay.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. What about you?
I'm also doing well. I
So,
think it's been a couple of weeks since we had our last
right.
session.
Yeah, I was wondering. So, how have you been since then?
Yes, actually, I visited my native place, and at that time,
Hmm.
I missed 2 to 3 sessions just
Right.
because there was a network issue. So
Mm.
I had scheduled 3 sessions with you, but I couldn't join them as there was a network issue in my native place.
Oh, right. Okay.
And meanwhile, I we had a conversation through email.
Yes,
You
yes.
must remember that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And I
And
received your message on WhatsApp today,
yes,
and I
WhatsApp.
replied. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So, what else, Vijay?
I just received my parcel from Amazon. I had bought this book by Alice Munro. I think I had told you
Ah, yeah, yeah.
short stories of Alice Munro.
Okay. Have you started reading it yet?
Not yet. I just received it. I mean, 5 to 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
My
I see.
parcel came from DTDC.
Oh, oh, so which store did you order it from? Oh, through
Uh,
Amazon, I guess. Oh.
yes, from Amazon, and I don't know. I think it's from Delhi because uh,
Hmm.
it's written on the parcel
Right, right. Yeah.
from that address is over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess a lot of bookstores in Delhi, they send it through DTDC. I mean, I receive
Yes.
it through DTDC sometimes.
So did you buy any new book?
No, no, no. I mean, whenever I order books, so like some Marxist literature, right? So there's this store in Delhi called Leftward Books. So
Okay.
do you know about it? No, probably not. It's like a store where you get a lot of leftist literature.
Okay. So as
Yeah,
you mentioned Marxist literature, so you must be familiar with that book by Terry Galton, Why
yeah, yeah,
Marx Was Right.
yeah, yeah. I've read it.
That's great. So how is it? I mean, I would like to know your review.
I mean, yeah, it's a good intro to like uh, beginners, who don't know anything about Marxism. Maybe they
Okay.
can get an overview of what really is Marxism. But then again, I don't agree with everything that he says, right?
Okay.
Because I kind of follow the Marxist-Leninist line of thinking,
Okay.
ML. Yeah, I'm kind of a Marxist-Leninist myself. So uh, I'm of the view that uh, for active political activity, you need a party. You need a strong
Hmm.
party with a strong mass organization, right? And
Exactly.
that's the Marxist-Leninist line.
Right. Marxist. I mean, I'm still reading more about it. I mean, the distinction between Marxism and socialist ideology.
Ah, yes. Well,
Hmm.
Marxism is a form of socialism. It's
Hmm.
just that it's um, what Marxism says is a more complete form of socialism is communism. Socialism is
Communism.
only a transition. It's a transitional period.
Right.
That's the
Have you
theory.
read about communism in China and communism in Soviet Union?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do read some books, like, and I get some literature from here and there, and so I mean, it's what I feel is that they are still like when USSR existed, it was still in the process of transition. It's not like a complete communist system. They were in the
Right.
process of transitioning, right? And there were a lot of limitations as well due to a lot of complicated political, what do you say? You see, just about any social experiment in history, right?
Mm-hmm.
It gets challenged by a lot of forces, right? So
Right.
you have this phenomenon called capitalist encirclement, wherein like imperialist nations like European countries, a lot of European countries, particularly Nazi Germany. right? Nazi
Hmm.
Germany, when it existed, it was a major obstacle to Soviet Union's development, right? It
Yes,
kept
yes, yes,
it
yes.
kept on warring against Soviet Union, and then you have various other capitalist countries, right, following orders of the US, right, no,
Hmm.
to limit what supply of goods and materials to Soviet Union, and this that still happens to a lot of communist countries in existence right now, right, like Cuba. So if you take Cuba
Cuba,
as
yeah.
example, right, Cuba um, is subject to a lot of restrictions, trade restrictions imposed by the US. The US forbids any other countries from trading with Cuba, and if
Oh,
they do that, they also get imposed restrictions. So there are these what do you say, trade barriers set up
hmm.
by the US and its allies, US and NATO, right? And
Yes.
whenever any country tries to become independent, tries not to follow the US's orders, right?
Hmm.
Then they get imposed these kinds of similar kinds of restrictions. So that's what happens. It's a world dictated by the US and its powers, US and
Right.
NATO. And India
Hmm.
is kind of like India is in a complex picture when it comes to geopolitics. So back when Soviet Union existed, India used to be its ally, the Soviets,
Yes, yes, yes.
right? But then again, it kind of adopted a non-alliance pact. What do you say?
Hmm.
A stance, I would say, a non-alliance stance, saying that. Are you aware of this movement called non-alignment movement? Non-alliance movement.
Yes, yes, yes. Non-alignment movement.
It was a movement of the 60s. Um, so I mean, a lot of third world countries, right,
Hmm.
who have just attained independence from these colonial powers, right, like the
Hmm.
Britain, then what? Britain and most of the European countries, most of the European imperialist powers, right? They started um, forming this federation, right, of these third world countries, um, saying that we won't align with the imperialist powers nor with the second world countries or the socialist nations because we want to tread an independent path. So that
Hmm.
was the line taken by non-alliance countries.
Non-alignment.
That's right. Um, and in this group, you do see some socialist nations as well, right? Along with many other capitalist countries, right? India being one of them.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Because we have
right.
mixed economy.
Yeah, we have a mixed economy, but even when we call it mixed, it's essentially a capitalist economy,
Capitalist,
nothing
yes.
else. It is
Dominant
capitalist.
force is capitalism.
Yes, yes. The thing is, there is private ownership, right?
Hmm.
Whenever a system accommodates private ownership, it has the law of capital running the
Hmm.
economy, right? Capital is essentially running the economy. So that's there. Um, Now the thing is, these countries like Soviet Union, China, they were like in the process of transitioning to communism. And when they were doing so, whenever a nation does that, what happens is these imperialist countries, capitalist countries, they kind of place some sort of restrictions on these developing socialist nations to
Hmm.
pose obstacles to their development. Right? Sometimes
Right.
they wage war against them, and that's what exactly is the USA doing to China, right? And to
Hmm.
Russia as well. Russia, because Russia doesn't want to follow the orders of the US, right? What Russia and China wants is what follow their own paths of development and to
Exactly.
help other third world countries who also want to follow a similar path. You know,
Hmm.
so
So
if
Japan is
yeah,
is not in the picture.
yes, Japan was there. Yeah, Japan was an imperialist country. It still is an imperialist country.
Hmm.
Uh, I think Japan lost its power with the bombing. Hiroshima and
Yeah,
Nagasaki.
exactly.
Back then, what happened was Japan was about to surrender. Right.
Hmm.
It was pretty certain. Japan would lose, and Japan was about to surrender. It was then that the US bombed, dropped the atom bombs.
Nuclear bombs.
Well, the original intent of the US was to threaten the Soviet Union, saying that we have
Okay.
nuclear capabilities, we have developed the first nuclear bomb. So if you move against us, this is what's going to happen to you. It was a message. It was essentially a message. But then we still read it as, the US helped win the war because of the US's narratives. That's how it's portrayed in Hollywood movies, and that's what we consume, right? The kind of content that
Mm,
we consume is from Hollywood and the media that it runs. It's
mm,
capitalist barons run, and that ideology is pretty strong, right? And that also kind of poses obstacles to people educating themselves about this kind of ideology. I'm saying, you have to like people have to be a bit more open-minded when it comes to learning about these systems. It's not like it was completely evil, or that it's a system doomed to failure. I think that's a very one-sided way of looking at things. You got to see like what I mean. You have to study the economy objectively. Where it did right, where it went right, where it went
mm.
wrong. You have to look at both sides and then try to build better systems. That's what I believe. And that's why I still support communist parties. I'm still an active.
Okay.
I'm not an active member, but I am an active ideologue, and I believe in propagation of the communist idea.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah.
That's I mean, this is where people go wrong, because without studying and without knowing what Marxism is, what Marxist ideology or overall socialist ideology is, they
Right.
just blame it, they just criticize it, and they don't even know what capitalism is, and
Right.
they just go on criticizing and uh, taking side of capitalist or
Right.
capitalism.
Right. That's. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm not saying that capitalism is completely bad.
No, no,
We have
yes.
benefited from capitalism. Capitalism was an
Hmm.
efficient economic system compared to feudalism. The thing
Hmm.
is, it's a complete. It's a process of evolution. You can think of it as a process of evolution. We started from like primitive communism, as
Hmm.
collectively, as a human civilization. We started from primitive communism. Primitive communism means when we didn't have any economy, we were just hunter-gatherers.
Hmm.
Hunter-gatherers, like just hunting animals, or foraging from bushes for our food,
Hmm.
right? Picking fruits, hunting animals. That's how we got started.